does it even mean to be an idol? I would occasionally ask myself that very question whenever I see my favorite idol, Saika Ai, performing on stage. Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever get the chance to be on her spotlight and be graced with her presence. But losers like me will never get a happy ending, because we are servants to your goddess. At least, that's the saying in the idol fandom. I'm not as crazy, but I still enjoy idols. I would occasionally go to the local live show and watch from the front, memorized by Saika's smile. Sometimes I like to think that she's smiling at me, but that's just in my head. At least, that's how it was before I found out that our fate would intertwine indefinitely. A few weeks after school, I was walking to my club when suddenly I heard a bunch of loud girls saying vulgar things about someone else. My first instinct was to ignore and keep in my own lane, but for whatever reason, my body acted on its own. I intervened and got beat up by them. I know, it's pretty pathetic, but I'm not your typical macho handsome guy who could easily take on 3 athletic girls. Was it worth it? I don't know. I'm still shaken up by the amount of pain that I felt that day. But the girl who I saved just ran away. So much for her thanks. At least, until now. She suddenly asked me to follow her to the roof of the school. Typically, no one really has access to it, but somehow this girl had the keys. But that's besides the point. I'm in total shock. I thought for sure that she would have just moved on from this and forgotten, but I guess not.
I love you. Would you please go out with me?
Is what I heard. My train of thought abruptly stopped, and nothing but those words echoed in my skull. I had no idea what to say or do. Who is this girl? Why did she confess to me? Does she realize that I'm just an otaku idol lover? I'm sure if she found out, she'd instantly regret it. I asked her, why me?
You always attended every single one of my shows and cheered me on. And now you saved me from those 3 girls the other day. I just couldn't stop thinking about you.
What does she mean to attend her shows? Wait. Hold on. No way. Is that Sayaka Ai? I couldn't believe my eyes. The Saika Ai. The idol that I've always admired is confessing to someone like me? Is this even real? I asked her a lot of questions, but she just kept pouring out her feelings to me. She noticed me for a long time without me realizing it. Just knowing this was enough to make my mind go silent. I couldn't muster any words except I needed some time. She looked a bit disappointed, for a good reason. Who in the right mind would say that to a famous idol? A lot of guys would have instantly accepted her confession. But for some reason, I hesitated. I just need time to think and sort out my feelings. The last thing I want is to break Saika's heart. A few days go by with no response. It felt as though the whole ordeal was just a fantasy. Something that I made up in my head. I swore that it happened, and it wasn't a delusion. But days turned into weeks, and at that point, my mind slowly doubted my ability to even give a proper response. So much so that I felt that it was pointless, and she probably had forgotten about me in the end. As I was sulking around the arcade, I bumped into this girl. She looked like a model or something. Either way, she was gorgeous, and all the guys in the surrounding area was ogling her. Noticing where I stood, I quickly apologized and turned back around in embarrassment. She suddenly caught up to me and stopped me in my tracks. I didn't know how to respond to such a forceful interaction, so I just stood there, looking at anything except her. She then bowed and apologized for bumping into me. She looked really sorry by the looks of it. Took it personally too. I tried to soothe her concerns, but it looks like that wasn't enough. She insisted on treating me to something to eat. It was a bit much for me, but I guess if that makes us even, then, so be it. Suddenly, in the corner of my eye, I thought I saw a girl that looked similar to Sayaka, but it must have just been my imagination. I continued to follow her to her suggested restaurant. We both ate and had a pretty good conversation. Turns out she's into idols as well. I fanboyed about Sayaka to the point where my throat felt dry. It was obvious that I had a thing for her, yet I couldn't muster up the courage to give her a proper response. Just thinking about that made me kinda upset. And so I said my farewell and left. It was appreciated and I had a good time, but just thinking about the whole situation with Sayaka was kinda depressing. The next day after school, I opened up my locker only to find a love letter with Sayaka's name on it. I had to give it another glance considering that it's already been a few weeks since then. But it's real, right? I guess there's only one way to find out. Suspiciously, the location was at a park at around 10 p.m. That's pretty late for a talk, but I guess I have nothing to lose. If it is a prank, then joke's on me, I guess. A few hours go by, and I meet at the location described in the letter. The park was empty, and there wasn't much light except for a light pole illuminating the street in front of the park. At the least, it was a full moon, so the night wasn't as dark as I would have thought. Suddenly, I hear a familiar voice from behind.
You actually came. I thought you forgot about me.
It was Sayaka's voice. It's really her. I thought she forgot about me, but I guess it was just my overthinking that doubted the whole situation happened. I lit up with happiness until suddenly, she pulled out a duffel bag. I was confused. Why is she carrying that around?
Why do you look so happy with that other girl?
What does she mean by other girl? No. Wait. She doesn't mean the one who treated me to dinner the other day. I tried to explain to her what happened, but it seems like my words just went right through her. She looked very upset regardless of my explanation. She reached into her bag and pulled out what appears to be some kind of ball with hair? Wait. That can't be. It's the girl's severed head. This can't be right. What did Sayaka do? Did she murder her? But why? How could she?
I did this for you. You don't need her. You only need me. You should only be loving me.
This is crazy. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The once innocent Sayaka, holding a severed head dripping with crimson blood. My previous innocent conception of Sayaka quickly vaporized into thin air, replaced by this disturbing state of her tearful murderous face as she trophies what was once an innocent girl. My instinct was to run as fast as I could, but I was still processing what was going on. Sayaka's approaching body quickly snapped me out of it, and I started to reason again. My adrenaline started kicking in, and I tried rushing out of the park, but my attempt failed, as I was tripped by an unforeseen tree root sticking out of the ground.
Why are you trying to run? I thought you loved me. Please, stop running. Not supposed to be acting this way.
I tried getting up, but suddenly... What's going on? Everything is going black. My limbs... they feel so numb.
Why do you look so surprised? I thought I was your #1 idol.